Raid is giving away 4 free legendary champions, and I want to help you guys decide who you should pick. Hey you guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to go over the skills of these champions, where they can be used, and why you actually would want to add them to your team. Getting into Raid, there are a few different ways that you can do so, one of them being a download link, and you actually want to use my download link because I will start you guys off with a free legendary champion on day 1. You can get yourself Elenaril. She will be right in that inbox, and I will also get you 3 other epics along the way, so that you do have 4 awesome champions. I made an entire separate video breaking down their skills for you. I'm gonna link that down in the description box. Be sure that you check that out. That is a download link. You also have a new player promo code. That is what we're talking about today. There's a few of them out there. However, I have selected the top 4 for you because each of these has a legendary champion in it. So by using my link and selecting one of these codes, you are going to have 2 legendary champions on your account, which honestly makes your start that much easier. But we need to actually break down these champions and see who is good where. The first champion we're going to talk about on this list is going to be Supreme Galek. He is a void legendary attack type, and he is the only void that we have on here. His aura is going to increase ally attack in all battles by 33%, which is great. You have more of the damage output. And looking at his skills and everything he can do, I immediately think PvE, and here is why. So his first skill is going to attack an enemy twice, and he's going to have the chance of actually increasing the duration of HP burn debuff for a turn. So having the chance to actually increase the duration, you know this goes along with some of his other skills. So skill 2, attacking 4 times at random. Before he attacks though, he'll actually place an increased attack buff on himself, which is great because even more damage is coming out of there then. He also has that chance of instantly activating any HP burn debuffs on a target and filling this champion's turn meter by 30% if 3 or more of the HP burn debuffs are activated. So you want to make sure you land that HP burn, and if he's able to activate it, increase his own turn meter so he's able to move a little bit more. So obviously brings us to skill 3, where we actually have that HP burn being placed. This one though is an AoE, so he is going to be able to attack everybody, and then he has the chance of placing both HP burn and a block buffs debuff for 2 turns, but also places a decreased speed debuff on targets whose turn meter is higher than 50%. So if they have a higher turn meter, at least he can slow them down, hopefully place that HP burn, and then you'll see why that kind of works with his other skills. But the nice thing is he also has a passive in there. Very useful for this champion because whenever he receives that fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, petrification, he's actually instantly going to remove it, fully heal himself, and grant an extra turn. So those skills all kind of working together, you'll see why I'm saying PvE, very much where he sticks out. That's not to say you can't use him in arena, but I don't think it's a place he's going to really stick out, because for myself, when I see these skills, I see anything that's got the multi-hits, I immediately think Fire Knight because you want to be able to do multi-hits there. But he also has an AoE in there, which is very useful for something like Spider's Den. But I don't think we can count out Dragon's Lair or Ice Golem because I do think his skills overall would be very useful there. So Supreme Galek, a great option for actually using him in PvE. So if you are wanting to actually go ahead and get Supreme Galek, then you're going to go over here, go over to your promo codes, and the one that you're actually going to want to enter in here is going to be Supreme 6. If you guys are curious to which one I'm gonna pick, I'm actually gonna leave that at the end of the video, so you're gonna have to tune into the whole thing, but at the end I'll give you my overall opinion on who I'm gonna pick and why. So let's get into the next champion. This one is actually going to be Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is a legendary attack type, and his aura increases ally speed in arena battles by 28%. That right there should tell you where this champ is going to be focused. We know it's going to be arena just looking at the aura. So his first skill does actually have a chance of placing a stun debuff on the turn, which is nice because anytime you can get a bit of crowd control, very, very helpful. His second skill has a chance to actually ignore part of the target's defense, which will allow you to do even more damage. The nice thing with this is that if he actually kills the target he's aiming for, any of that extra damage is going to attack the other enemies that you have there. So you'll have some surplus damage coming out of there, and it is also going to ignore 50% of the defense. However, the attack cannot be critical, something to keep in mind. Now, if that initial target survives, so they don't die, instead, he's going to place that sheep debuff on them for a turn, but the debuff cannot be resisted. This is something that you can actually use in your favor if you are confident you're not going to kill the champion. They have a full HP bar. You can actually sheep them and use that. So this can be very, very helpful in kind of the manipulation of the battlefield, which makes him really good. Now, his third skill being an AoE, so you're attacking all the enemies. However, my favorite part of this skill, before attacking, you're actually going to steal the buffs from all the enemies and block the debuffs on them for 2 turns. So you can be very strategic about this. Wait for them to buff up and then go ahead and steal everything and attack them. He is also a very unique legendary champion simply because of this passive. So with him, he'll actually have a bit of a self-revive in there with 100% HP and a turn meter, but it's 3 turns after they were killed. So if he dies, all you need to do is make sure that somebody else on your team survives 3 turns, whether it's 3 from the 1 or across. As long as they stay alive for 3 turns, he will come back to life, and then you get whole new life coming out of Sun Wukong. So as I said, very, very good for PvP. He is somebody who will really shine in arena. Live arena too, if you want to tackle that, or if you just want to do regular arena. Honestly, he was actually one of my go-tos, and I still use him a lot in my arena team. So definitely where he shines. I will say PvE though, you're not going to get as much use out of him. However, if you are somebody who really wants to focus in on that PvP part and you're pretty confident you have your epics, you can use them in the dungeons, then he's the one that I would really suggest if you're wanting to tackle that part of the game. The code that you actually want to use for him, you're going to go over to that same place, hop over to the promo codes, and the one that you're going to enter to get yourself Sun Wukong is going to be Monkey King. Next up on this list is going to be Alice the Wanderer. She is one I actually have on my account, but I haven't gotten to fully play around with her build yet. This is something that I'm actually going to make some videos on. Be sure you subscribe so you're able to see what I get done with Alice and which gear I actually put on her. With Alice's skill, her aura, similar to Supreme Galek, where we can increase ally attack in all battles by 30%. Her first skill attacks an enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target has any active skills on cooldown. So that right there tells you that the rest of her skills have to do somewhat with the cooldown. The nice thing with here is she also has a chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target for a turn. So I kind of immediately think some PvP areas, if I'm able to decrease their cooldown, let's say, and as well as maybe decrease a random buff, very helpful. Skill 2, attacking all enemies and having a chance of increasing the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns. That is huge. Again, that's the cooldown of all enemy skills for 2 turns. So again, using in PvP areas, massive. She also has a chance of decreasing their turn meter and potentially to decrease that turn meter even further. So you also have some crowd control coming out of the skill too. Over on the skill 3, she's going to attack an enemy and ignore some of that target's defense. If the initial target is killed, she will also attack the enemy with the lowest HP. So alone being able to ignore part of the target's defense, PvE comes into place. You can use her against some of these bosses. She'll do a bit more damage. But if you are in an arena battle and say there's 4 of them, they're still alive, but someone's got very, very low HP, you save it, you use this skill, kill them, and then you're going to be able to do damage on somebody else there as well, which is incredible. Also has a very nice passive, which is passive and active. Passive part of this skill, essentially, you can do a bit more damage, but the active effect, so it's going to reset the cooldown of one of this champion's skills each time they kill an enemy. So again, if we're thinking back to that scenario I gave you, you have somebody that's got very low HP, you go ahead and kill them. You're going to reset your own cooldown on one of her skills that she's got here. So Alice is somebody who very, very useful. As I said, PvP sticks out, but also PvE, because you're getting some multi-hits on the first turn. You have an AoE, so Spider's Den, Fire Knight coming out of here. But you can also use her in Dragon's Lair, in Ice Golem. I do think she is going to be a very well-rounded champion that you would be able to add to your team. If you are interested in getting Alice, then the code that you would actually want to use for her, same place, we're going over to the promo codes, and this one is going to be GETALICE. And I've got one more for you guys. This one is going to be Loki the Deceiver. So he is the only support on this list, but very unique champion, and I'll show you guys why. So his aura increases ally accuracy in battles by 60. This is beneficial if you feel you are not landing as many of your debuffs. You need some more accuracy. You're not able to get it from your gear. That's where this can come into play. His first skill, having an AoE, so attacking all enemies while you have the chance of increasing the duration of their debuffs for a turn. Very useful in PvP, but also PvE because you have an AoE in here. Now, if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil, then the chance is going to increase. So you know that he's going to have something in his skills that's going to have the Veil or Perfect Veil. And this is what brings us to the skill 2, which is very unique because you can either use this on an enemy or yourself. Selecting a target. Now, if it's an enemy, then you have the chance of blocking their active skills, placing a block buff, debuff on them. If you do have Veil or Perfect Veil, then it's also going to do a debuff spread. Very, very useful. If you're going to use it on either yourself or an ally, now you've got a bit of a heal. Heal yourself up and placing a Perfect Veil buff on them for 2 turns. If the champ is under Veil or Perfect Veil, it will apply a buff spread effect. So that's going to take a random buff from the target and place it on the allies. So very useful because you get to manipulate either what's going on the battlefield or yourself. So you decide how you want to use this champion, and part of what makes him a good support. Now, its first skill does have a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from a target enemy and 100% of their turn meter. This cannot be resisted if the champ is under Veil or Perfect Veil buff. If their turn meter was not stolen, so say you failed in that, instead it'll fill the turn meters of all allies by 15% instead, and places an 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also has a passive, and this is kind of unique because if you say decide to use the skill 2 and you don't select yourself to get that Perfect Veil buff, it's okay because he does have a passive where it is going to place a Perfect Veil buff on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each round, and also places a Perfect Veil buff on this champ for a turn whenever their HP drops below 50%. Also has a chance to actually evade, and an active part of this skill, if their HP is below 50% when targeted by an enemy champ, then it's gonna have a higher chance to actually evade. This guaranteed evade then goes into cooldown though, so something to keep in mind, but a very unique champion, and out of all of them on the list, I would say one of the most unique ones, and potentially one of the fun ones because of the way that his skills actually work. Very good support in the sense that he can potentially heal, or if you're wanting to actually land the block debuffs on there. So I would say Loki is one you can kind of use in both areas of the game. I personally use him more in PvP than PvE, but I have used him in PvE areas. You definitely can. It is an option, but he's also kind of fun and potentially requires the most strategy, I think. So I am by no means an expert on any of these champions, but from my own experience with actually using them, he is the one that I feel I actually have to try to decide, you know, with skill 2, you're selecting, are you doing an enemy? Are you doing yourself? And I think that's part of the fun in actually having Loki. So if you're interested in adding him into your team and he is one of the ones that you agree with me, you're like, oh, he's kind of cool, he's somebody I definitely want, then the code you want to use for him is going to be GETLOKI. You really cannot go wrong with picking any one of these 4 legendary champions. They are all great, and honestly, they will help you out tremendously in multiple areas of the game. If you do want to focus more PvP, then you may be looking towards Sun Wukong or Loki, or if you're going more PvE, then maybe it's Alice or Supreme Galek. But the one that I'm gonna pick is going to be Alice, and the reason for that is I think she's got a lot of versatility in both PvP and PvE aspects, so she would be my #1 choice. But I want to hear from you guys. Who are you picking from this list of 4 legendaries? Comment that down below. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!